I got some smoke that'll elevate your game even more. Move that, earn a spot in my organization.
Trying to put BMF all over.
As Season 2 unfolds, BMF is certain to deliver more twists and turns, death, snitching, and a lot of heartbreak, and I think that's the best way to sum up Season 2, Episode 1. As far as we could tell, Lamar was dead, but he was actually 1 inch away from death, and woke towards the end. Big L got delivered a huge L, with K9 ripping her mouth to remind Meech what happens if he steps out of line, something which Pat did when he killed Rock in Season 1. There's an intriguing dynamic and relationship built on blackmail and snitching with B. Mickey and Detective Brian, one which will continue in Episode 2, and a storyline which will continue to raise the stakes. But the stakes are high across all of our main characters, as Meech plans to expand, but puts Lucille and Nikki at risk. Terry's getting closer to Marquisha, and there is a sense that the Flannery family are getting to the point of being broken beyond repair, not just through Meech and Terry's actions, but the financial burden and fading marriage of Lucille and Charles. But we're gonna run through all things Episode 2, breaking down the key clues in the trailer and what we can expect. Now the synopsis for BMF Season 2, Episode 2 reads: Meech focuses on expanding BMF into Cleveland, while Terry experiences growing pains as he launches his car ride business with Charles. When Terry learns Meech could be in danger, he inserts himself into the BMF's business, which drives a wedge between the brothers. Now we're going to see Meech focusing on expanding BMF into Cleveland, because in Episode 1 we saw a strategic move by Meech in which he was able to bring together 2 crews that were at war in Season 1, the 50 Boys and the 12th Street Boys, and it's mainly because the supply is dry. But the 12th Street Boys also lack direction and a real leader. J-Mo was killed by B. Mickey, and naturally the successor was Flamel, but he was taken to an inch of death by Lamar, who was actually taken to an inch of death himself. But the problem was Big L. She wasn't happy with doing business with Meech. She was only happy with Terry, because Meech was too flashy for her liking. But with Terry, at least at this moment in time, he's trying to separate himself from the drug game. But how long will that last? I think we all know probably not long, especially with Episode 2 being titled Family Business. It's family business for a reason, because if something happens to Meech, Terry will definitely be there for him, like they used to say in Season 1, womb to the tomb.
All we gotta do is stick together, man. Move to the tomb. Yeah, move to the tomb.
So even though Terry and Meech aren't on the best of terms, when Terry learns Meech will be in danger, he'll insert himself into the BMF. But Meech is moving more weight than ever before, thanks to the supply from K9 and his recruiting. But we do have to remember, the reason why they were able to outgrow Pat in Season 1 was because Meech and Terry work well together. Meech's ambition and Terry's brain make a solid combination, but for now, Meech is on his own.
Just this point, I'm gonna go around without my brother.
You don't have the vision?
He got a different vision, man. He wanna finish school and all that bullshit.
My brother was the same way.
It seems like Meech is making good with his promise. He's moving his bricks and cash is flowing, but for how long? Terry even said it himself in Episode 1. What happens when they mess things up? They saw what K9 did to the other basketball coach, so how long will it be before they're on the other end of K9's gun? Mistakes are part and parcel of the game, especially because there will always be situations out of your control. Similar to when you play chess, sometimes the moves are forced on you and then you have to think, what's the best possible move I can make to get out of this bad position? But it doesn't help when you're the one making the bad moves without being forced. For example, Meech carrying a whole load of weight in his car with Lucille and Nikki. We all saw what happened in Season 1. Nikki was questioned by law enforcement after Lamar killed Darius and being forced to lie, and it's not a position she likes being in. She's been lying for Meech and Terry for years, so we are going to hear Terry calling out Meech on carrying weight with Lucille and Nikki in the car. And it goes back to how I mentioned Meech may have the vision, but Terry has the brains, because he would never have put Lucille and Nikki in danger like Meech did. But Meech is trying to put BMF all over the map, and it's working. He's expanding, he's moving a hell of a lot of weight, and making more money than he's ever done before, and no doubt, learning a thing or two from K9.
Cause Meech, the only way to be the man to take care of the people, take care of you. Right, fellas?
K9 presented his whole crew with gifts, and this is something the real-life Meech and Terry took on board. Taking care of soldiers and their families, it builds loyalty, which is what made BMF so successful for such a long period of time. They were built on loyalty, money, and power. But let's see how far Meech can take BMF without Terry, because we all know B. Mickey is working with Detective Brian, and that's why he needs Terry more than ever. Now, even though Terry will find his way to working with Meech eventually, he is trying to separate himself from the drug game. He's trying to make an honest living with his car ride business, but he's not making nowhere near the amount he was making in the game, and Meech definitely gave him a reminder.
I'm guessing you picked up 4, maybe 5 rides for about $10 a pop with a tip. That's probably a grand total of 50 bones.
This is where Markeisha comes in. We all know Terry has one eye on her, even though she's married. And one way he's trying to get in the good books of Markeisha is by sending business her way, but it's actually Markeisha who's doing Terry a favor. We hear Markeisha telling Terry the real business and money comes in at the airport, the men who fly in first class, and that's where we see Terry heading. He's got his eyes on the money men, but he's also got eyes on BMF. Charles and Lucille have been trying to pull Terry away from the drug game ever since the beginning of season 1, but they're still having the same old issues. We hear Charles telling Terry to take his chain off when he's running the family business, and it's the same old thing we heard at the dinner table with Meech in season 1. But even though Terry does obey, notice a subtle hint of the BMF chain, and as the synopsis says, Terry will insert himself back into the BMF to help Meech, and so it really won't be long before we see the two brothers reunite. One thing that will also contribute towards Terry getting back into the game, apart from Meech being in trouble, is the constant lies from Lucille and Wanda, especially after overhearing how they plotted Wanda to leave to force Terry to go straight. So the dynamics of the Flannery family with Lucille and Charles' problems, Terry getting back into the BMF, as well as having one eye on Markeisha, will definitely cause a divide. Now, this is up there as one of the most intriguing plots along with Lamar being alive, B. Mickey working for Detective Brian. But what favor does B. Mickey want from Detective Brian? Because it's actually B. Mickey working for Brian, not the other way around. And we all know in this game, it's a favor for a favor. They don't come free in the street. So whatever the favor is, you can bet Detective Brian will want more on Meech than B. Mickey gave him in episode 1. But can he continue to play both sides? That's the question. And how long will it be before he's rumbled? Because we all know how it ends for snitches. Or could B. Mickey actually go down saving Meech? So let's see what Brian and B. Mickey get up to in episode 2, because it is something we need to pay close attention to. Now elsewhere, we've got a shootout with K9 and Meech, because this is the game. There's always going to be disagreements with rival crews and even within the BMF. If we've learned one thing in episode 1, not all of them are on the same page. They may have toasted to a new beginning, but how long will it last? There's also the question of what's Lamar's next move. He woke up at the end of the first episode, and no doubt he'll get a visit from Detective Brian and Jin, but will he give them the shooter's name? I don't think so. But I do think we're going to see Lamar in recovery for at least the first half of season 2, and we have seen this before in Power. Even though BMF is loosely based off true events, the same rules apply. We've seen others like Kanan and Lobos and even Tommy going under the radar because their enemies thought they were dead, and it is a great position to be. You can plot and plan your moves and your enemies will never see you coming, which is the position Lamar finds himself in. So with that being said, that's a breakdown of what we can expect for season 2, episode 2, an episode where I think we'll see Meech expanding his empire, more disagreements between him and Terry, and B. Mickey digging his grave even deeper. But drop all your thoughts and predictions down below for all things BMF, season 2, episode 2. And of course, if you are new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything BMF and Power Universe related. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.